It's just that warmth that takes over you, and there's nothing. I just stand there, like, I don't even need to be doing anything other than just standing there looking at it.
Absolutely. I mean, and to answer your question, that is why I refuse to get rid of that house because I'm like,
And she, like, gets up one day and her phone is shut off, and she's like, "What the crap?" Or maybe it was her water. She's like, what the hell?" Like, so she goes to figure out, like, how do I go online? Where do I go, like, to pay
yeah,
this?
what do I do?
And so she finally asking around, they're like, "Well, you have to go into that building right there and pay." And so she walks in, she goes, "Can I just set this up so that I pay it online every month?" They're like, "No."
Yeah.
She's like, "How will I know what my bill is?" And they're like, "Come in here and ask us." And she's like, "Every month I have to come in here and ask you what my bill is and then pay it right here. And then if I don't pay it, there's no warning. You just shut it off." And they're like, "Yes."
Yeah.
And she's like,
Interesting enough, like, we've had our electricity shut off from, like, lack of payment, not because we didn't have the funds, but just because we didn't know it was due.
yeah, you know what
Um,
the process is. Nobody sent me a mail or an email or a text message or a
yes.
smoke signal or anything.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. And while living in the jungle, I mean, so we built this beautiful house. It checks all of the Costa Rican dream list. It has plenty of land. My husband like had cultivated the land. We had terraced gardens, we had fruit trees, we had medicinal herbs of our own. We had everything. Ocean view, saltwater pool, just we really had made this dream a reality. And my business totally took off after the pandemic. And
Yeah.
I would be sitting there with a full day full of consultations where people are paying ahead of time to book in my schedule, and the electricity would be out. And it wouldn't be lack of payment. It would just be because it was a Tuesday and maybe it slightly looked overcast. I don't know. I couldn't figure out a reason. And that began to break me a little bit more after I had thought that I had surrendered and, accepted my reality in such a beautiful and poetic way. Um, Costa Rica, I always describe to people is like that country that's gonna like do like a they're gonna like it's gonna punch you in the face and you're gonna be like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Why would you do that? Are you trying to make sense of it? And then they come in like the most beautiful, warm embrace that you totally forget that you were just punched in the face. You're like, okay, everything is fine. Everything makes sense in the world, right? That really keeps people coming back, I think. It is a place that people are just phenomenally generous with themselves and so kind and operating from the heart. And not to say that you can't find that places, especially like in the States or other places, but I find it to be just so overwhelmingly beautiful here that it really just adds to the geographical beauty of this country. It's like the most genuine, warm embrace from Mother Nature in all of its beauty and glory.
I mean, if you think about the majestic, like the mountains and the volcanoes and the lush green, and like if you're down in the southern zone where like the mountains come right up to the beach,
Yes.
jungle comes right up to the beach, you can't see anything. Like I love to go to Ventanas and just walk
Yes.
out to the water and then turn around and look. And like it's a dark, cloudy day up on the mountain. You're in the sunshine, but you can see those dark clouds just contrasting against that beautiful jungle and the mountains. And it's like I swear I take 700 pictures every time. I don't even know why. Like I have all
Yep.
of them already, but like I can't stop and not capture it again because it's just so stunning. Like it's
I
just so lovely.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I always tell people like, yes, my husband was fully on board with this decision. He also wasn't so much a beach person. However, when you go to the beaches in that area and
Mhm.
you see that vast ocean and those just powerful waves, and you look behind you and it is nothing but lush
Yeah.
jungle, there's something very magical about
Yeah,
that
you just
area.
feel it because you're like, like I grew up in California, so I grew up in the Pacific, but like there was never a time whenever I could be on the beach and turn around and see nothing.
Yeah.
It was a building or it was the shops or it was the boardwalk, it was the millions, whatever it was. It was like, and to be able to just, I mean, that's like my favorite thing is not to just go in and see the ocean and watch the sunset, is to turn around and see when the sun is setting and it's shining up on the jungle up behind you. And it's just that warmth that takes over you. And there's nothing, I just stand there. Like I don't even need to be doing anything other than just standing there looking at it.
Absolutely. I mean, and to answer your question, that is why I refuse to get rid of that house because I'm like, it didn't work for us in this season of life. We have moved to San Jose. We weren't ready to leave Costa Rica, but with my business, and we wanted a more progressive kind of niche school for our kids. And
Understood.
surprisingly, what people don't know is San Jose has so many incredible options for school. Our kids are in elementary school. They can go until they graduate at their school that they're currently attending, and they will graduate with a US diploma, an MEP accredited graduation diploma, and an IB. So this really essentially opens their world. Not only are they bilingual, but they have options for college at this point.
Well, and they're bicultural, right? So I mean, that's
Yes.
they're probably more than bicultural because your husband's country as well as your country, and now your family's country, which is Costa Rica,
Yeah.
at at this moment. At this
Yep.
moment. So let's talk about your business because I think, especially now, right? Like, not that it hasn't been a hot topic in the past, but I don't know that people were listening. I don't know that I don't know that people were listening and were paying attention to. Um, First of all, in the states, we make a living out of poisoning people so that we can sell
Yep.
them antidote, which is just another poison that they become dependent on. So you're dependent on the garbage food, and because you can't break yourself from that crack habit, then now you're going to eat the garbage. But if you take this pill, then you'll be okay eating the garbage. And it's such a colossal lie. All of it is a colossal lie. And I mean, one of the things that probably makes me the most angry is that the cost to eat garbage is what keeps the poor people controlled, right? Because if you can't afford anything but garbage, then now I own you because I own you here in your diet, which does not feed your brain, right? So your brain doesn't ever get to a level beyond this, right? But beyond mac and cheese, it never gets beyond the mac and cheese level. That's all the nutrition you're giving it. And now we're going to medicate you with all of this stuff. And so you're bound in the system. And I feel like it is a version of slavery, right? It's
Yes.
a version of enslaving us to the lifestyle they want us to live in. And here's all you can afford. So that's what you're going to give. And then we'll give you the medicine for free if you can't afford it, blah, 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 right? And
Correct.
so, and then to eat healthy is so expensive. It's like a flex, right? You can buy organic, you must be rich. You can buy grass-fed butter, you must be rich. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things.
Absolutely.
And it's like, you know what? I'm saving a shit ton on pharmaceuticals, so I think I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they say now that, like, the Western medicine paradigm is one where they're going to keep you sick enough to where you are a lifelong consumer of their prescription pills.
Right.
However, they're not going to kill you. So there is that gray area of like, let's really talk about how you're living. Let's look up, like, it's not necessarily how long you're living, like what are the life in those years. If
Mhm.
you are a prey to that paradigm where you are reliant on prescription medications and you're feeling better, you're not getting to the root cause of why you might have those imbalances, which can, side note, be incredibly simple, but we've complicated it so much to where not only are the masses confused completely on how their body operates and how it communicates to them and how you should be fueling it, but also you are a victim to big pharma that's going to sell you a solution that you have to take the rest of your life. And that's why I got into holistic health, because I saw that huge discrepancy. I grew up in upper middle class, like, but I was able to see, wow, there is something incredibly unfair going on.
Mhm.
One, education; two, how they've monetized our food system. Just seeing a list of things that are on the acceptable list for food stamps
Yeah.
is appalling. And so we absolutely have to pause and say, what's being done here? We are the victims to a broken system that people are getting rich off of. Like, there is no mixed words that there are people getting very rich off of
Mhm.
this broken system.
Well, and you
But
think
I
about it,
think,
when you drive from like Capos down to Dominical, right? And you drive past the big palm oil factory, right?
yeah,
The first time I ever drove that, I was like, well, this is really kind of cool. I wonder why they have these big orchards of palm trees, because I didn't
yeah,
know what they were there for. I thought, man, like, do big resorts like buy these full grown ones and they're growing them here so they can transplant them somewhere? And it wasn't until like I was like, what are the things that they're putting in those buggies? They're taking them. What's that sicky sweet smell that we're driving
yeah,
past?
yep,
Saying? And then I was like, I wonder what they're making with those big hairy ball things that are falling off the trees. And I didn't
totally.
know any of it, right? Like I was just like driving through there, just being so curious. And I'm like, so then we're driving and I'm Googling like palm oil. What's palm oil? And
Yeah,
where do we put that? Are they exporting it? Where does it go? And then when I started down that rabbit trail and go, oh my gosh, most countries won't even allow this garbage to come into their country, let alone put it in their food. But guess who does? Guess who does? United States of America allow palm oil to be in just about freaking everything. It's ridiculous. And
yep.
that there's countries that will go, no, we're not putting that in our food. Why do we say yes then? If we're like the world superpower, why are we doing this to our citizens?
Yeah, we have monetized life now in the United States, and that is a really tricky situation, because the people do not have the power at that point, right? They are at mercy to, whatever the doctor in the white coat tells them. And I think,
And they trust
during,
them. That's the stupid thing. They trust them.
of course, because we've been indoctrinated to give our power away. And
Mhm.
so then the pandemic happened, and obviously, plenty of people went along with every, loony thing that was going on there. However, there were also a lot of people that started to stop and pause and say, okay, well, if the news is telling me that this healthy 50-year-old died of COVID, what makes him healthy? And do I have what
And
would prevent me from dying,
am
right?
I healthy? Am I
Yes,
healthy?
exactly.
I
I
don't
think for the first time, people started taking their health inventory and said, "Oh, crap, like, if I can die from this, then what is it to be healthy?" And my business exploded as a result, because I also think when you start messing with kids, then, you get those moms out there that are like, absolutely not. Like, I am not, maybe I drank the Kool-Aid for myself, but for my child, I am doing something different. And so when you get that army involved, well, then that can absolutely move mountains.
And
And
where did this damn phrase come from? Why you guys don't trust the science?
yeah, the
No,
science is always changing.
we don't trust anything. How about that? We trust
Right.
nothing.
Right.
Trust
And isn't science supposed to be that you see it as false until you have exhausted every resource and tool to prove that it is true?
yeah,
And
and the thing is like even though it is science, let's say that it is, and I'm not here to be like an anti this or anti that, and whatever people choose to do is their choice. However, the f- as people are spouting their venom, what may be true for them is not true for me. You don't know my
right,
body, you don't know my physiology, you don't know you don't know like you go take this thing, take this
right,
like let's even talk about like a flu shot, right? Like I don't take a flu shot. I haven't had the flu in years, and I'm not going to take a flu shot. And I don't understand the math behind it. Give me the flu so I don't get the flu. None of that makes any sense to me. And I could sit down and you could explain it to me, but yet I'm still not going to get it at the end. Like, I'm not going to take the flu shot because I'm not sick. I don't get the flu. If I do get the flu, I will do whatever remedies to cure the virus that I have at that time. And so, but like, for you, you may be in a high risk, whatever, and to you, that makes you feel safe to do that
Of
thing.
course.
If
Of course.
so, then do the thing. But your law is not my law. Your
Right.
truth is not my truth. And that has to be okay.
And that's where we've kind of gotten in a more dangerous situation as a population, as a community, because we've insulated ourselves with, and that's why I have such respect for even, what you're doing is you're offering a different experience where we don't really hear a lot about people that live abroad or make a
Right.
decision that's not the norm.
Right.
Sometimes I sit and I'm like, my gosh, like, we don't have like the white picket fence. We don't have like the PTA, like, we don't have that. And yet this has been such rich experience. And so I think when we
But
insulate ourselves,
aren't we sold a blueprint, right? Go to
yes,
school, go to high school, graduate, go to college, graduate, get married, have a family, do XYZ, da 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 da, work at a job for 40 years, retire, die 6 years later. This is your blueprint. Go do this thing. And it's like, why? I don't like that blueprint. I don't like that.
right. And I think more people are saying, wait, that doesn't resonate with me. That doesn't, wait, I need to work 40 plus hours to get 2 weeks off. People are stopping and saying, like, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? And at the end of the day, it's not. I just wish that people were more open-minded, because when we insulate ourselves, we remove the opportunity to continue to learn and
Mm,
evolve. And, even if someone wants to tell me, like, how they think that the COVID shot has saved us as a population, I want to sit there and I want to actively listen to what they have to say, because it's not going to change my opinion necessarily. However, I want to keep an open mind to where I don't prevent myself from learning and growing. And I feel like people aren't sharing that same respect with individuals, where it gets us in a dangerous situation where we're we're surrounding ourselves with like-minded kind of
yeah.
narrow
Oh,
thinking.
I'm not even kidding you today. Like, and I have friends, I work in the automotive industry a lot. And so I have friends that are, they're, they all have very strong opinions one way or the other. And the post that he made today was like, and it was about election time, and it doesn't matter which side it was on. Just remember that we need to have control of this and the House and the Senate. That way, it can't be overrun ever again. And blah 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 blah. And I was like, and I never comment on political posts. I don't get out there and play with them because you're never going to convince somebody. And I literally said, and they're like, if you want democracy, this is what you're going to do. We're going to have control of all of that. And I was like, that's the opposite of democracy.
Right.
That's that's the op
That's the absolute opposite.
I'm like, that is not democracy. Like, none of that is. That is like, now we want to be this and this is all we are. We're nationalists or whatever. I don't even know which is to put it in. And I was like, that's not it. And if and it's like all these people have blinders on. I said, if any of us have blinders on, no matter if we are voting red or we're voting blue, any of us that have blinders on and think that our person is like the save all be all, it is not. It is up to us as citizens to do our part every day to make my home better, to make my
Yeah.
neighborhood better, to make my city better, my community better. And that's my job to do that thing right there. That guy's job is to, or that girl's job is to keep our country safe and to keep the world safe and to protect those things right there. But my job is this right here. And if I think that I'm going to go to bed at night and wake up on Wednesday morning and whatever happens, like, that's their responsibility. It's not. My responsibility is in my home, with my kids, with my neighborhood, with my neighbors, with my city, with my town, with my employees. And if I don't take my own responsibility, red or blue, it doesn't matter.
Right.
This is all falling apart.
And that's where real change is made, right? Inside the home. Like, and that's what I found out for myself. Like, I work outraged to see the discrepancies of what people were able to like buy or afford for food wise, right? But it was like, how can I educate my children? Because my children are going to continue that ripple effect, right?
Right.
But I saw a hilarious meme from a real estate company down south at the beach that said Republican, Democrat, Costa Rica, and it had like a ballot and it was like a checkpoint. So I was like, that's hilarious. I'm definitely like, have my opinions about what's going on in the States. You we still are very much involved in the United States. So I don't want to speak badly about it, or I don't want to be like one of
I,
those people
I don't
that like
either.
burn the ships. But it was hysterical because I do think that the economy here is very much influenced by election years,
Right.
especially.
Well, and it's like for us, like at any given time, we may have up to 70 employees. And it's my job to tell them to vote, right? It's my job to tell you, you guys have a right to vote. I will throw a pizza party for on Tuesday. So whoever comes in with their I voted sticker, they all get pizza. If you didn't vote, you don't get any pizza. And I don't care how you vote. I care that you vote, that your voice is heard.
Yeah.
You know you have a right to vote, and I will never persuade you one way or the other. I'm not going to talk about it. I won't even let them talk about it. It was funny because whenever the vaccine had come out, and I my employees wanted to talk about it outside of work, they could. I did not want those discussions going on inside. Oh, did you get vaccinated? Oh, did you? I walk out there and go, shut up. It is none of your business whether they did or they didn't. It's not you don't even have a right to ask them. So stop it. It's none of your business. Leave them alone, because I didn't want that division even in here.
Yes.
And I don't want it politically. I just want them to go do their part. And
Right.
if your person wins, great. If my person wins, great. If we happen to have the same people, great. I don't know. I don't want to know. When you do the ballot, it's private. Don't come out
Right.
with a red sticker or a blue sticker. I don't really care. I just care that you did it. Good
Yep.
job. You did your
Yep.
your civic duty.
You used your voice, right? You practiced your own discernment. You utilized that freedom of choice. That
Yeah.
amen to that.
So getting back to the food and the health, so I'm 60 and it's paramount for me. Like I used to tell my kids all the time, I'm like, I'm living to 109, just so you guys know. And then my son Brent's like, 109, whatever. And I'm like, Google it, bitch. I'm gonna be there. Like that's happening.
I'll
And
see you
so,
there. I'm not
so
going
now,
anywhere.
so now I've moved it to 129. And he's like, you're gonna be like a cyborg. I'm like, I don't care what I am. Like I said, and I'm not gonna be just like eking on. I said, I'm gonna die. I'm going to be in Costa Rica and I'm going to be like, oh my God, I think I want to go paragliding today. I'm going to die jumping off the side of that mountain. That's how it's going to go. I said, on my damn terms, and I'm not going to be limping up the mountain to get there either. And he's like, you're just crazy. And I'm like, well,
Well, maybe.
I didn't say my mind was going to live forever, just the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's so important, I think, that as more people like you that are interested in finding out how can we cure our bodies without. I'm like, I hate to say that I'm anti-pharmaceutical, because I'm not, but I just am not bought in, right? So, and we talked about this the other day. So I've been a migraine sufferer for 20 years, and I mean, like right now, like I've got a small little headache right now, and I'm like right in here. I'm like just massaging like right here. It goes, I know it's really tense right there. And will that help me right now? Because that's my first go-to. And then peppermint oil is my next go-to, and like I will do everything I can to not take a migraine med. Like I will do everything I can in the day to get to that point. Do I not have to do that thing other than just going, that's my first thing. I have a migraine, take a migraine med. And it's funny because anytime I go see a new physician or whatever, they'll be like, okay, well, what medicines are you on? And I'm like, rizatriptan as needed. And they're like, and what else? I'm like, that's it. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And they're surprised, that you get to 60 without having bought into some pharmaceutical that was supposed to help you somewhere along the line. And I just don't. There's just so many better options, and researching that is so important. And matter of fact, after you and I spoke and you said it sounds like maybe a histamine thing, whatever, right? So like I'm going and I'm researching like the foods that are low histamine or whatever. And I'm like, that's a lot of the stuff that I eat is on that list. Like, and I'm like, I mean, to me, I'm like, how, but luckily on the instructions it had said, we're not recommending that you stop all of these foods.
Right.
Just be mindful and trying these foods out to see which one, may be causing it. Cause I was like, that was a long list.
Yeah, and histine's interesting because no two people will express the same way. One person will be like totally have a histamine flare with eating an orange, and the other person can like drink a whole gallon of orange juice and be fine. It's
Right.
very, very bio individual, like any health issue. It's bio individual, right? We all
Mhm.
come from a different epigenetic set point, come from a different diet, a different movement schedule, habits, mindsets, beliefs, thoughts, right? And all of that is going to dictate how symptoms express or how they don't. I always tell my kids our physical bodies are always in a constant state of healing. No one has to earn that. No one has to do anything to deserve it. That is our human right. However, we can absolutely do things that promote that healing. We want to help our bodies heal. And we can absolutely do things that are going to be detrimental to that healing process. But no two people are alike. And I think that's where the Western medicine paradigm has really fallen off the rails is we're not looked at as individuals, right?
Right.
And so we're kind of slapped with this like one size fits all approach to health and healing, which I think is being flipped on its head right now in the holistic health community because we're constantly preaching bio individuality. Like, let's mine for information. Your symptoms are going to be huge in kind of going down those rabbit holes that are going to connect the dots. Not only that, we can use diagnostic tools like functional blood labs. So it's no different than what you would get from your doctor. Maybe I run a few more markers than doctor does. However, I'm not looking at them from those huge ranges that your doctor's giving you because as a population, we've gotten unhealthy. And those ranges are based on a bell curve average. So as we've gotten unhealthy as a population, those ranges have grown. So I'm tightening those ranges up. And obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm not looking to diagnose disease. I'm looking to prevent disease. I'm
Mhm.
looking, oh, wow, you have a couple markers that are pointing to liver stress. How can we support that? Dandelion leaf tea, castor oil packs. My grandmother talks about those. She's in her 90s. There are so many things that is just from the earth, or in that ancestral wisdom. I do utilize supplements. Sometimes we need a man-made solution to a man-made problem.
Right.
However, we need to kind of go back to that foundational health and understanding. Like, what are we eating? How is our digestion? Are we getting enough water? Do we have adequate minerals? What's our blood sugar like?
Mhm.
It's when we go through those, we can really say, oh man, I've got some cracks in that foundation, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I don't drink enough water. I can't tell you how many clients that I see and they're drinking 12 ounces of water per day. A rough indicator of proper hydration is to take your weight in pounds and divide it in half. And that's how many ounces of water you should be drinking per day. Add some minerals to that, extra credit. Now you've got two thumbs up. You are promoting that healing ability that every human body has.
So how do you know? Like what minerals to add in there? Like, do you just throw in some sea salt in there? Like, what else do you put in there? Like, how do you know what you're deficient in that you should put in there? Or is everybody deficient in probably the same things
I
in
think I
minerally
think a
wise? And if you aren't deficient in it, it's not going to hurt your body's going to flush it out anyways.
exactly. I mean, I think a good trace mineral combination is great for everyone. I do hair tissue mineral analysis where we're really getting to the nitty-gritty of your macro minerals, your micro minerals, your heavy metals. The ratios can tell us a lot of information. So it's just kind of like I feel like everyone's on a spectrum of like someone's going to listen and say, oh man, she said half my body weight in ounces. I need to drink more water. Someone else is going to listen and say, could I put sea salt in my water and that be a good start? Other people are going to say, wait, she said a trace mineral. I'm going to go online and see what the best one is. Or someone's going to listen and say, hey, I need to dive deeper in this. It's piquing my intuition. I want a hair tissue mineral analysis and I want to balance my minerals. And minerals are the spark plugs to our cellular energy and vitality. So we can, talking from a foundational standpoint, we can really build optimal health just utilizing minerals. But because people are on that spectrum, I try to offer like spectrum solutions, right? So meet everyone where they're at. If they can filter their water, awesome. If they can add a mineral to it, great. If they can get enough of those two in a day, you're doing awesome. So just building from there.
So then how do they, let's say they're like, you know what, Ashley, I don't know anywhere to start. And I know you can help me. How do they work with you?
So I'm working with one-on-one clients. After 2020, I had a wait list of like 150 people for a year and a half. And that really burnt out my nervous system. No matter how much I poured into my clients, no matter how many hours I worked, I found myself really burnt out. And I noticed this because I was short with my kids. And I was like, wait, I'm working for myself in an industry that I'm so passionate about, but I'm doing all of that so I have the time, space, and freedom to be the mother that I want to be. And when that got out of balance, something had to stop. And I closed the wait list. I worked through it. And now I am, addressing, or I am executing my work schedule in a way that feels expansive for me because my kids come first. And I am so passionate about helping people that I kind of lose that balance. And so you can reach out to me on my website. It's thehungrytribe.com, thehungrytribe.com. Social media, I'm hungry.tribe. And the name really resonated with me because I didn't know a woman that wasn't hungry growing up, like under eating, over exercising, hungry for more knowledge, hungry for better balance, hungry for more of themselves. And so I want to help those people that are hungry to get themselves back, and empower themselves to heal.
And we will drop all of the links and the ways to reach Ashley in the show notes down below. So if you know somebody that needs this information, that needs to hear this message, share this show with them. Just from speaking with Ashley the other day, and then I interviewed another woman the next day, and then I'm like, hang on, you two need to meet. I need to connect you two because I think that what you're saying and what you're saying are somewhat aligned. And I think that maybe there is some synergy here where you guys could help each other. And so that's really is the point between Expat Diaries is like, it's about Costa Rica because that's where we end up thriving and living our lives. But it's also about everybody's journey is like so damn different. Their journey is so different. Why they're here, what they're running from or what they're running to, is so different. And so finding those people and then going, okay, well, what's your story? What do you do? I want to be part of this. You just so happened that I pulled you into my universe because I'm on this journey of renewed health awareness as well and going, okay, what can I do? Why does my big toe hurt today in the joint? I don't know what that's about. I really haven't eaten any red meat. I've never had gout before. What are these things before? I wonder why that's happening. What can I do for the next couple of days to see if it goes away? If there's inflammation in there, like, what is it? And so like being aware of everything that goes on in your body and don't dismiss it. It's telling you something.
Right.
Your body will tell you what's wrong with it. And it'll be like, hey, this is a problem. And men are the worst. Don't be offended, men, or be offended. I don't care. They're the worst about just brushing it off and ignoring it. And like, maybe it'll get better and maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. My husband was, he had given himself basically a heat stroke. And I had told him all of his symptoms were like that he had heat stroke. And I kept telling him, Brian, you need to go to the doctor, go to the ER and see if you can get an IV. You've got to you can't drink enough Gatorade. You can't drink enough right now to replace all the minerals that you've depleted your body from. You're in a state of crisis. You have got to go. And he wouldn't listen to me. And then he just kept working outside. It was like just this horrible thing until the point where his kidneys decided they were going to just start shutting down on him. I'm like sitting at the pool and he's coming outside going, something really bad just happened when I went to the bathroom and I'm really worried. And I'm like, I mean, dude, get in the truck and I guess I will take you. And I mean, good grief, you're 54 years old, man. Your body told you for the last 3 days, your dizziness, you're throwing up, you're like, can't regulate, you're sweating through the sheets at night. All of these things is telling you, and you wouldn't listen to it. And so I'm like the first one. The minute it happens one time, I'm like I literally last year for no reason. Like I had these weird dancy lights in my eyes right over here. Like if I moved my eyes to the right or to the left, I called them disco lights. And at nighttime I could see them a lot. And then I had some extra floaties in my eye, right? Like you had a piece of lint that was just coming down in space. And I'm like, not, I tolerated that for one day. I call my optometrist the next day. I'm like, I don't know who's in I'm going to sit in your waiting room until you can squeeze me in because I don't know what this is about, but I need you to see it right now. My husband's like, was it an emergency? I'm like, it was to me. That's out of the normal. Like I didn't hit my head. There wasn't anything that happened, but I take everything like that. Like what if it was something internally that was happening and something was going on cardiovascularly that was affecting my vision? What if something was going on mentally, like I was having a brain instance? Like, why would I wait to find out if it's going to go away on its own? No.
Yeah.
This guy gets paid. Tell me what's wrong with this. If there's anything wrong, if I have detached retina, what the hell it is, figure it out, man. That's your job. And I just don't understand why people take so long when your body tells you something's not right. Pay attention. I'm going to make it hurt till you pay attention. And then they just don't. They just get used to the pain and move on until there's a new pain. They gripe about that for a while. And after a while, they're all bent over and hunched up and limping and dragging along. And they never paid attention to this thing, which then eventually caused this thing and then that thing. And now their hips out of line, then their knees. And it's like, people just pay attention. Start considering what you're consuming, and is it helping you or is it hurting you? Is it nourishing you or is it making you sick?
One of the biggest things that I learned with moving to Costa Rica is to slow down enough to hear my innate wisdom, what my body was telling me. And so many times we're in this rushed kind of go, go, go life that we don't have the time or the capacity to listen to how our body is communicating. And that's really unfortunate because it disconnects us from true source. And it also is, part of the ultimate bigger problem at play. But if we can slow down enough to really value, appreciate, and love ourselves in a way that we would our loved ones, right?
Right.
Then we can empower ourselves to make those big changes and to not be to other people telling us what's wrong, but to, fix the problems when they first are brought to our attention. I get a lot of clients now that are like, listen, nothing major is wrong with me. I just want to make sure that I can feel my best. And I work with so many complex when someone comes through the door that's like, got nothing to report, but how can I really optimize my body's function? I'm like, hello, okay, let's go. And those complex cases, no fault to their own. I think we aren't taught to understand how our body operates and the ways in which it communicates. And so it's a really tricky situation where we just don't know and we're not taught to prioritize ourselves because that's selfish, right?
Right. And I was thinking, it's like, I'm one of those people like that, right? Like there's really nothing wrong with me, but I'm just like, how can I optimize everything, be full of energy, just constantly be like, thriving. Like, it's not that I'm not thriving, but there's times when I'm just tired. I'm just like, it's 2:00. I'm tired. Why am I tired? And our
Yeah.
old go-to is to find some pick me up somewhere and consume it and then go with your day instead of acknowledging like, why am I tired right now? Maybe I need to go for a walk. Maybe I need some sunshine. Maybe I need, what do I need right now that would turn this around without it being, a caffeine jolt or a sugar jolt or whatever it is that you're used to putting yourself through at 3 p.m.
Yep. That's incredible.
Well, I have loved every second of this, and I could talk to you for 6 hours. I swear I could. and just be happy as a little lark. But I would love to have anybody who wants to reach out to Ashley. When she has capacity for you, she will get back to you. And
Well,
and you will live until then, I promise. But by all means, reach out to her. And if she's taking clients, by all means, get on her wait list if you can, and start being very serious and very intentional about your health and about your wellness. And don't be afraid to take the quantum leap to leave a country and come and explore things over here, because even though they've experienced several different parts of the country, all the way from a Tico house to the jungle dream home to now living in a thriving city where her internet is pretty stable. Stable. I think that they really are very intentional about their lives and where things are going and how they want to be in the world. And I really love that. And I thank you for spending time with me so much, because it's been a sheer joy for me.
oh, thank you for having me. This has just been awesome. And I have such a respect for what you're doing, because we navigated that move and it was so out of left field. It was so making such a huge leap into the unknown, that if I could have heard these stories and, kind of learned from other people's experiences, I would have been all for it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, kids, pura vida. Have a great day, and get outside and soak up some sunshine.